na yede ye ni etwohu ye kɔ afigya kwabre north emansini mu se yede ye ni ekyerem wo afigya kwabre north emansini mu a na eyare ho sempa esanse ensuo ya wonom nom no eho edin pa titiri udua ponko ene enkuro ahodo ya etwa won anhia na ye ne enkuro ma no bi ekotwetwe nkomo mo yenkotie wonom are ho sem ya wonom ede etudwa
ensuo nkura uduru ha uduru ane nantwie ane mo amo gina mu a yam no nom
wa unu se ha no de bebre ha no kura de entiminka bebre kwa
one omudi kan betu we no ansan no betu we no amaye nso no ye statistics ye bu afi de ubebu no na anwa ewani bebu na anwa wani
am ya ko ha ye pipe no ba kokora sai sisi am no wo ka sai pipe no ba ko asai ama sisi ano e ho so sai problem sky de be sai no so ya asem ese ba ko ho no ma ye use
e bua na no na sai e sai so a ye nya bibia e be ko bu so e tumi drum me bi na mi mi na asai e sai
it gets to it
na yede yani ekyre ensem foforo mu so no na owura honorable Andy Apiaku bi wo yamrahye bedwani edema Asante Achem North papai efri se na ochu ya etwa mu ya His Excellency the Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia yi owura napo ese ne running mate papai de bonyo soda na abribia no wakasafa na we na enra wanopa okay eso no onbra na oni yera Kwame Nkrumah sabiti kese twetwe nkomo no papa ede ensem bi tu dwa se wono de napo obia emfa ne mai se wo mo MP sana se committee no ommo bo no so on dey still ano wo hu se napo eye running mate
minia eni kwase potudo na mami se mu kasa na hu ye constitution yeka na obia ni pa wo mu a obeka na me pese nyema be me se na pese ka ho se number 1 ni say obia NC2 obia so yeranti ye constitution no ema ye pragbera no kwan se one nominate and I want to see the word on nominate obi no for national council
okay
na national council you know who kobo na yanyi tumu anase yanyi tumu and it the presidential candidate the mandate is nomination nomination no yes selection
okay
nomination no kile wage nyawo susu mutim or the banner penny vote last year national council wa the beja tumu anase yanyi tumu obeti asu
Ena no Jwada ena ye Speaker of Parliament Yera Alban Barbin abopini menhia ahemfie na papa ekoye na ode ensem bi eto stumfo seto bi oni nananom nkaye anim se wo gidi ye se ye ba ahensem anase traditional no a na eye kabamika bi no ewo mu pa ye kura chemra hye bedwefie nto stumfo seto bi o emwa na kabamika bi no enfon hodo ya aka no so wonum emo ho daru
Parliament. And so we, the parliamentarians, are usually seen as the symbol, in fact, the epitome, the pillar of democracy. But in our practice, Parliament is not taken seriously. So we decided to go to the people, sit and have a dialogue with them, try to explain to them what we understand about the choice of the country, multi-party democracy, and then get feedback from them so that as we try to reform the 1992 constitution, we do it, we adapt it to suit a peculiar situation of Ghana. I'm saying these things not because my father Ogunfo doesn't know, because we are learning it from him. I know his voice goes far, and so many will hear through him as to why we are here. And he has taught us. I read one of his keynote addresses at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, where he talked about us building a nation. And that was one of the first things I was drawing my beloved wife's attention to, about how the Ashanti Kingdom has built a nation. And for people to understand that our traditional system is even more democratic than what we are trying to practice. Because the checks and balances in our traditional system is such that you can never override them as we do in what we call multi-party democracy. And so as we went around trying to interact with our people, as he said, we actually, living in an area, we started from Tamale, we did a mock parliament in Wa, we did some sports activities in Bolga, we did the same in Tapradi, we did another in Kinkos, we went to Koforidua, we went to Ho, I did a visit to Yendi Domango personally. I also went to Bimbala. I had to go and greet the chief in Kinkos and all those things, just to reach out to all of them, for us to all feel that we belong to one nation for Ghana. 2 days ago we were in Sunyani. Yesterday I was in Techiman. Today I'm here in the Garden City. I don't know whether we can still call it Garden City. That's one of the challenges we will have to work on. The Garden City, Kumasi. And because of the nationality that you have been able to.
Junior Speaker of Parliament, Nenkomodie Sonia Jabwa from Kratwaba. Yama makwaba BMC afe na watanase anopa no se akase ewo anopa nsroma dwumedie so na uguso aya wo hwe no na yede yani ehwem krampuni mantemu a na otwe na no kwasi adada na ye June 30th eno na Ghana Bar Association for Asia ya no mo ekaikai wonum ajeje for me se bia ya mribebe ebiebe twemu wonum ehwem kwa owura Mr. Yaw Champon Boafo president de Ghana Bar Association no odi afutu nsem bi akoma mabunu ya Ghana mem hase wonum hwe na amanyofo ewura wonum ama omo anye ne bia ense emfata wo bra ye ba beto aba afimu na odi ensem we nyina etudwa wo ebra lawyer for ne ajeje for ehia mu wo enkrabuni mantemu efa ebra wo gina so de akaikai efe apem eduasa June bosom no mu 1982 wonum lawyer for na judge for bia wonum ehwe wonum enkwa.
The sad and horrible events of 30th June 1982, for example, should serve as a constant reminder that intolerance, violence, political vigilantism, and military adventurism should not be tolerated and have no place in any civilized democracy such as ours. Without that, 30th June 1982 was nothing short of unbridled intolerance and violence. 30th June 1982 personified raw vigilantism and leadless military adventurism. While uninterrupted and continued democratic rule, with multiple transfer of power between the two political parties in successive national elections since 1992, may appear to banish the idea or thought of any possible military adventurism in Ghana, we should not get ahead of ourselves and think that all is well, for it is not. For each of these elections, including the registration of voters that precede them, as well as occasional by-elections, has not been without its fair share of disturbing moments and violence, with associated acts of political vigilantism, which in no small measure threatens the peace, stability, and development of this country, which will serve as a source of concern for all well-meaning Ghanaians. What should be a familiar exercise of a civil duty, and what is supposed to be a regulated process for the registration of voters and procedure for the challenge of prospective registrants and transfer of votes, were and have been marred by threats, intimidation, assaults, and violence at the registration centers across the country. It should not be lost on us that such acts invariably scare away and restrict eligible Ghanaians from registering to vote and voting in national elections and referenda, a clear violation of their constitutional rights. The Supreme Court has, with remarkable consistency, underscored and upheld the rights of Ghanaians to be registered for and vote in national elections and referenda. Thus, any acts that prevent, intimidate, and restrict eligible Ghanaians in that regard should be deemed intolerable within our democratic space. It is why the Ghana Bar Association notes with deep concern the reported acts of intimidation, violence, and vigilantism that characterized the recent voter registration and vote transfer exercise in some places across the country, such as Cape Coast in the central region, Kukom in the Ahafo region, and Edijama in the Ashanti region, to mention but a few. It is often said that Ghana is an oasis of peace, surrounded by turbulence within a sub-region that is riddled with violence, lawlessness, and military adventurism in all sorts of form and shape. However, let us not take anything for granted. Let us not get ahead of ourselves. There's a lot to be done to have a truly functioning democracy, working at full throttle that guarantees and oils our individual and collective aspirations and development. Let us have the awareness and consciousness of our past travails, struggles, and failures to get to where we are now and rededicate ourselves to doing our best not to go back to those dark days. As citizens, it is our collective duty to ensure that whatever we do, whether in word or in deed, should not create fertile conditions for military adventurers to take advantage to truncate our democratic journey. All of us have a role to play to make sure that violence, lawlessness, and vigilantism have no place in our democracy and political engagements, especially in the registration of voters and during and after general elections. Specifically, I speak to leaders and members of all the leading political parties, the Electoral Commission, the security agencies, and the government. To the youth, who are invariably exploited and manipulated by some political actors, I urge you to be purposeful in life. Channel your energies and exuberance into meaningful ventures. Do not fall for and be misled by unscrupulous politicians to engage in acts that destabilize our nation only for crumbs. I dare say you are worth more than some few Ghana cedis and a pack of cooked rice.